Hi, welcome to another. This is literally the home edition of Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube Counter Press. Usually it's for breaking news, and there's big breaking news for Chelsea football fans and some transfer updates in there. The most important one is the fact that Chelsea are very close to agreeing with Manchester City for their young English player, Cole Palmer. There are a host of reasons why Chelsea wants Cole Palmer. Apart from the tactical reason, there are lots of as other good reasons that Chelsea want Cole Palmer. A very instrumental person has been Joe Shields, and he has known the ball throughout his development. He is one of the first few people to have scouted him through the Manchester City Academy. Again, Cole Palmer was in that English under 21 team with Noni Madueke, Lavai Kowal that won the Euro. So it's one that is probably going to fit seamlessly once he gets into the Chelsea team. But just before we even go on, thank you very much for choosing me. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. This is Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. The show name is The Counter Press. Let's go. So, guys, essentially, Manchester City have a lot of generalists and less specialists. Why do I say this? So, if you look at the kind of wingers that Manchester City and Pep Guardiola is trying to use these days, he's prioritizing the specialists. So even if you look at, say, their latest purchase, Matheus Nunes is a much more specialist in terms of press resistance ability and ball carrying and whatnot. He's not so much of a generalist. If you look at somebody like Jeremy Doku is much more of a specialist from the wing, not necessarily a player that is cast in the fold of, say, a Riyad Mahrez. He's much more of a dribbler, like a Grealish, a specialist in one role of the game. So, because Pep Guardiola loves to have specialists in his teams, essentially, if you're a generalist, you don't have places in his teams a lot of the times. Now, Cole Palmer is a young English player. Chelsea is known to have wanted an interior that can play on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, as an AM, sometimes even as a CAM or even as a CM, essentially. Is the versatility in the roles that's very, very important in the course for Cole Palmer. If you look at, say, somebody like Mohamed Kudus that Chelsea were looking out for, Kudus could play out on the right-hand side, but definitely was not going to suit it when he's playing out for the left-hand side. Ideally, Kudus will have to cut in onto his left foot to influence the game and also can play centrally. Same for Ryan Cherki, same for Bradley Barcola, whether they are nimble-footed or very good dribblers. These are sole specialists in specific roles, but not necessarily generalists in the kind of way that they want to play. Now, Chelsea has a lot of wingers. Noni Madueke, Raheem Sterling, Mihailo Mudryk, and the likes. But there is no specialist. There's no generalist. I mean, when I say generalist, I mean a kind of player that's specialized in doing a lot of things. So the generalist in the sense that Cole Palmer can play from the left-hand side, from the right-hand side. Essentially, can play as a winger. Yes, he is not a kind of winger that naturally will hug the touchline, but he can stay high and wide, can give you the width that you want. Essentially, he wants to be on the ball and carry forward. Again, he can play as a central attacking midfielder, as an attacking midfielder, as exceptionally as a number 10 in central areas, whilst Cole Palmer can also be integral if he wants an outlet because of his frame and can be a second striker to Nicolas Jackson. And if you listen to Mauricio Pochettino, throughout all his press conference, where Chelsea were saying that they needed somebody who can play as a second striker, but not necessarily somebody to stop the evolution of Armando Broja. You could tell that this is the kind of profile that somebody Chelsea wants. Left-hand side, right-hand side, central areas, half-space monster, a manipulator of the space, and a lot of pass volumes also. Now, I'll take you back to the Manchester City game that they played against Arsenal. In the league's opener in the Community Shield. If you look at how Man City scored that goal when Cole Palmer came on, Cole Palmer came to play some sort of a striker, but also as an inside number 10. And it is his goal for him to, how he cut in from out wide, from right-hand side, and open up his body to slot at the back of the net. That tells you how much of a good profile he is as a player. Essentially, he's the kind of guy that can play across every part of every position of the top three. And it is because at Manchester City, Pep now prioritizes a lot of the specialists in specific roles, 1 or 2 roles in his teams. That's why Cole Palmer isn't getting a place in there. I am a little bit worried for them because, you see, Man City have been able to develop a player who the last time he had a lot of game time was in 2 seasons ago in the Premier League 2. Played about 15 games, had a lot of good involvement in that game. He doesn't have any niggling injury record also have that's going to temper him over there. But this is the time that he was probably going to break into Manchester City's team. Pep has chosen a specialist over a generalist in Cole Palmer, and he has gone for Jeremy Doku, which is fair. Given how Pep wants to play, he wants tactical and technical specimens who are specialists at specific roles. Now, Chelsea is looking out for versatility in their front three. They are looking out for versatility across their attackers. They lack something, and they feel like, okay, fine. Once we build to get to the specialist levels, now we can look out for generalists. Fade them out with time if they don't really work out in our team. And that's exactly what Chelsea are trying to do. And that's why they're going for Cole Palmer. Yes, given the kind of players, the shortage of wingers in the English Premier League. Now, if you look into the English Premier League, there isn't so much of blistering wingers. Liverpool has Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Darwin Núñez is a striker, Diogo Jota is an inside forward. If you go to Tottenham Hotspur, Son Heung-min, Ivan Perisic is the old kind of striker that only sends the crosses in. Richarlison, more or less like a striker. You go to Arsenal, that's one of the best wingers. Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and the kind of players that they have in there. Now you go to, say, Manchester City, Jeremy Doku is back into the team now. Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish in the team, specialists to do their job. There's a lack of young wingers, and Chelsea are trying to stack up on all of them. Cole Palmer is going to be a very good buy. Fabrizio Romano is actually reporting that Manchester City would want to get him for 45 million. I think it may actually go a little bit up because the reason is simple. Man City ideally would want to put a buyback clause into the contract of Cole Palmer. Chelsea would seriously be unwilling to put in a buyback clause for a player like Cole Palmer's quality. Hence, it is going to come at a price, and it's going to be expensive for Chelsea Football Club to buy Cole Palmer. If it was a smaller club where they get a buyback clause, then that would have been good. But whilst he is a player that they feel like they probably will see him succeed, then they'll sell him for good. Also, the role of Joe Shields has been very important. Yesterday, it was widely reported that the top hierarchy of Chelsea Football Club, Stewart, Winstanley, Shields, Bolly, and Egbali were in Cobham in a crunch meeting with Todd Bolly. The conversation was simple. Let's get an attacker, essentially. I mean, some players have been offered to them, Ansoumani Fati, Rafinha, João Felix. But then, like I said, there's the need for a generalist. Somebody that can play in those pockets. Somebody that can play as a CAM. Somebody that can be a creator because of his pass volumes and his dribbling ability. And again, somebody that can also hold the width as a winger. And Chelsea think that the guy to get in there is Cole Palmer. So Chelsea are getting Cole Palmer for Manchester City. Chelsea's initial bid of 35 million quid has been rejected by Man City. Negotiations are ongoing. Man City are looking at about 45 million quid over there. I think that deal can be done by Friday. Yes, and Chelsea will get it done. Like I said, if by tomorrow, if the medical is not down, he's not close to that, then forget about it. Chelsea will not do it. That's it with Chelsea. Updates on Cole Palmer. This is Fiifi-Manfred YouTube. I'm grateful for your time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See ya.